Every successful PSYOP requires an ending that the public wants to believe. In 1994, the state of Wisconsin was facing a looming crisis, a narrative filled with forensic holes, missing records, and a serial killer whose story was beginning to fray under scrutiny. They didn't need a miracle. They needed an exit strategy. Today, we conclude our investigation into the Christopher Scarver case. But this isn't about the man. It's about the machine. It's about how the state used a vulnerable, already convicted inmate to facilitate a prison murder that served as a massive forensic incinerator, burning the evidence and closing the book on Jeffrey Dahmer forever. In the world of intelligence and narrative control, an asset is someone whose position makes them useful and whose status makes them expendable. Christopher Scarver was the ultimate asset. By 1994, Scarver was already serving a life sentence for a 1992 murder. Legally, he was a dead man walking. He had no leverage, limited education, and a documented history of severe psychiatric delusions. The state didn't choose him because he was a warrior or a vigilante. They chose him because his involvement meant the case could be handled in-house. By pinning the event on Scarver, the state avoided the need for an external investigation into how a high-profile inmate could be left unsupervised with a known killer. The narrative was simple. A crazy man killed a monster. The public cheered. The state breathed a sigh of liberation. A PSYOP of this magnitude requires the cooperation of every branch of government. As we revealed in Part 3, the same forensic psychiatrists, Drs. Fosdahl and Smale, acted as the gatekeepers for both Dahmer and Scarver. This is institutional laundering. The psychiatrists declared Scarver competent to ensure the plea went through without a trial. A trial would have meant discovery. Discovery would have meant a defense attorney asking for the autopsy reports that, as we have proven, do not exist. Judge Richard L. Rame then accepted a no-contest plea. In the legal world, a no-contest plea is a gift to the state. It avoids a factual admission of guilt while allowing the conviction to stand. It essentially allowed the state to say, "We have our man, don't ask about the evidence." Let's look at what the Scarver narrative successfully hid. Because the case ended in a plea deal, involving a man already in prison, the state was never forced to produce 1. A verified death certificate for Jesse Anderson. 2. Publicly available autopsy photos of Jeffrey Dahmer. 3. Cross-referenced SSDI records. If the state had claimed Dahmer died of natural causes, there would be questions. If he had escaped, there would be a manhunt. But by manufacturing a murder by a fellow inmate, the state created a scenario where the lack of forensic transparency was excused by the chaos of the event. The state used Scarver to silence the questions. They traded a federal transfer and mental health treatment for his silence, and then in a final act of institutional betrayal, they reneged on the deal and buried him in Supermax isolation to ensure he could never recant his coerced role. This is how the system protects itself. It identifies a pawn, uses their existing criminal status to shield the state from liability, and creates a story so sensational that no one thinks to check the paperwork. The Dahmer prison murder wasn't a failure of the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. It was their greatest success. It allowed them to retire a high-risk narrative, maintain their institutional funding, and demonstrate that they can rewrite reality as long as they have a guilty man to sign the papers. Christopher Scarver remains in a concrete box, not just because he is a danger to society, but because he is a living record of a state-run deception. When the state can use a citizen, any citizen, as a tool to facilitate a PSYOP and cover up a lack of forensic evidence, the entire concept of accountability vanishes. The evidence is clear. The autopsies are missing. The plea deal was violated. The psychiatrists were shared. The pawn was used. The Dahmer case didn't end in 1994. It was simply moved from the courtroom to a shadow. It's time to bring that shadow into the light. If you've followed this series from part 1, you know this goes beyond true crime. This is about institutional integrity. 1. Subscribe to Dahmer Analysis for more forensic deep dives. 2. Share this series to challenge the mainstream narrative of state-sanctioned justice. 3. Read the full breakdown of the missing evidence in my book, Jeffrey Dahmer, Uncovering the Case for Innocence. The state counts on your silence. Don't give it to them.